This was a phenomenally hard video for me to make, and so if it's a little jarring compared to the videos that I normally make, my apologies. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. So today I have a little bit of a different video for you, and that is of the 2-mile Longshot camera system. Now this is the LR-3 Ultra HD, and what it is a target sighting system, if you've never heard of Longshot by this point. I, contrary to having 2 active YouTube channels, a full-time job, and one of 2 people that run a full-time firearms and accessories business, retail business, I am an inherently lazy person. And one of my least favorite things to do when reviewing rifles and optics is walking 100 or 200 or 300 yards downrange to check targets. And that is where Longshot comes in. Now this has turned out to be one of the most difficult videos I've ever had to make because it doesn't do anything. Like when I review an optic or a rifle or a pistol or something like that for you, it does something. It has functions that I can show you and you can hear and you can almost feel through the screen and then optics and things like that. There's a whole lot of stuff that they do. This, well, it just sits there and makes your target shooting experience phenomenal and makes zeroing so much easier. So let's talk about that. All right, so I mentioned that this is a 2-mile system. What that means is they have various lengths of their system, what they call, like they have a 300 yard, I think they have a 500 yard, or 800 yard. I'm gonna put it up here on screen. This is 2 miles. The claim is that the receiver and the camera, which are the 2 main components of this system, the receiver being something that sits near you as the shooter, the camera something that sits out near the target, and signaling back the video or camera shots to you so you can use your cell phone or a tablet in order to keep track of your shots and do your zeroing and things like that. The claim is that this has a 2-mile stretch. I tested that, and it was close. So the first time doing it was I sat the camera out on the road, started driving with the receiver out of the window. As I was driving, I was keeping track on my phone, and you will see all this as it's overlays. I'm keeping track on my phone to see if I was still getting a good signal, still see if I was getting a clear video. At around a half mile, however, as I was packing it back up, I thought, well, maybe it's the driving. Maybe I was driving away from it too fast and it didn't know what to do. So I set it back up in the same spot, turned the camera on, and then started driving down the road. I got to about 1.5 miles, which was the farthest I could go on that stretch of road, and then mounted the receiver up high in line of sight with the camera, turned it on, everything connected very well, like the Bluetooth, camera to receiver, everything connected very fast, and here's the results. All right, so I'm giving it another shot. I am at 1.4 plus miles. What I did was I turned the camera on down there at the same spot. I drove down here until I'm at this curve. I'm going to lose line of sight. So 1.4 miles, and I set the receiver down here. I'm on top of my truck, on top of my rooftop tent here, and I am getting intermittent signal. So I'm up high. I definitely have line of sight. I'm getting intermittent signal. You can see the little, I don't know what it's looking like. I'm sure it's looking the same way, but you see a little swirly thing. I'm getting intermittent signal straight down this road, right? This is a long, straight road. There's a few swales in the road, but this is directly in line with the camera. So I'm getting intermittent signals at basically a mile and a half. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that other than at least I'm getting intermittent signals. At about a mile and a half, I was getting intermittent signal, intermittent video play. I would assume that around 2 miles it's about the same. And I don't know if the slight being off from each other, one being on a little tripod on the, sitting next to the road, one being, 6 foot, 7 foot in the air up on my truck. I don't know if that minor out of alignment had anything to do with it. I just don't know. My job is to relay my findings to you guys without a bias. That's my entire job. So that's what I'm doing. However, with my use case, it has worked flawlessly, functions great, and it has made my zeroing process very good. So much more painless. I myself have used this to just over 200 yards. When they first contacted me and asked me if I wanted to take this on, they gave me the choice. They said, well, which unit do you want? I said, I'm not going to go any farther than 300 yards. I'm never going to go any farther than 300 yards out here. And they sent me the 2 mile anyway. But within the scope of what I used it's been great. Let's get into some of the really cool things that has helped me out with zeroing and letting me stay lazy and not walking down range. So it connects to its own Wi-Fi. There's an app for it that you can get on the Play Store, on the Google Play Store, or on the Apple Store. Everything connects very easily in my experience. There's an onboard gallery that saves your videos that you can then email to yourself through Google Drive and things like that. You can also use your screen recording function on your phone or tablet in order to record what you're doing. Then in the menu, there's a whole lot of different things. You can use it just as a camera. You don't have to use any measuring equipment. You don't have to use any of the onboard measuring tools or functions in it. You can use it just as a camera if you just want to see holes getting put in a target downrange. Or you can lay a grid over it and you can set your grid spacing for MOA or mils at different sizes. You can set your target distance and your target size, and this is what allows you to measure the actual adjustments you need to make for your zeroing process. You don't have to, but you can place little dots where your hits are. The dots can be different size for different calibers. Different size holes that are going into the target. And of course, there are picture taking modes and video taking modes in order to keep track of what you're doing. Now, for me, I mostly used it in what I called like zeroing mode. I put the grid up and input my measurements, how far I was from the target, and things like that. For me, adding the grid over the target and just being able to have that in my zeroing process was amazing. It really, really was. And so it actually, I was zeroing the Gideon Mediator XL, and it made zeroing that red dot so much more faster because I personally cannot see a 223-556 hole at 36 yards, which is what I zero red dots at. I can't see it anymore. So I either have to have another gun out with a scope or some sort of a spotting scope, which I don't have, but I have to have another rifle out with a scope, check it through my scope, take guesses that way, or walk down range and actually take measurements. Either way, this guy right here helped out immensely, and it will be helping out immensely in future scope and rifle and red dot videos. What would I change about this? So it comes with two of these adjustable tripods. These tripods are really good. They're I think these are aluminum legs, but they have full adjustability and all that, but they're short tripods. The one thing I would change about the entire system is to add a standard like camera tripod. Doesn't have to be an expensive one, something that's maybe a $20 or $30 tripod, because when you're paying this much for a unit like this, you're going to pay the extra for the addition of a real tripod. As a YouTuber, I have 4 or 5 6 tripods, whatever, a closet full of tripods. So it wasn't a big deal for me to be able to put the camera up high in front of my target. However, with just the 2 short tripods, this really does lend itself better to bench rest shooting, somebody at a range that has tables and things like that, or prone shooting, and you're shooting at targets that are low to the ground, things like that. That's really what this system lends itself best to with the products or with the items that come with it. However, you can get this, run to Walmart, get yourself an inexpensive tripod. Camera tripod has a standard camera thread, or that quarter thread in the bottom of them, and use it on a tripod standing up in front of a taller target, no problem. Now, one thing about the recording function, the picture taking function is very self-explanatory. The record function is something that it took me a little bit to figure out. I was recording with just by doing the record screen because I couldn't figure out what was going on. On my Android, now I don't know if it's like this on all platforms. On my Android, I had to push and hold the red record button. They call it an orange button in the directions. I see red. But push and hold the record button, a menu pops up that says share screen, or it says share app, to whatever. You have a choice of your apps. Or you can go to entire screen. I have to select that, and then it will record and keep that recording in the app, in the Longshot app. Otherwise, the direction says push and hold the orange button and hit the start button. That doesn't exist on my end. I don't know if it exists on tablets. I don't know if it exists on something proprietary, and I don't know if it exists on Apple, but on my end, it does not do that. So it took me a while to figure that out. So how much is this bad boy? The 2-mile system, which is what I have sitting here, is $999, so $1,000 for this camera system. And that price goes down as you go down to the 1,000-yard and the 300-yard and so on, down to actually very affordable prices for what I would say the majority of shooters out there that are doing range trips and zeroing here and there, that are far more affordable for the average person. You can also get expansion kits, or you can get multiple camera kits, 2 and 3 camera kits, things like that. If you have, let's say, a 300-yard target, a 600-yard target, and a 1,000-yard target, right? You can keep track of all of them at once. So Longshot really has thought of everything, as far as from the person that does sort of average weekend plinking all the way to the professional shooter that is shooting out to great distances. They have a package, they have a camera system for that person everywhere in between. Again, it has made my zeroing experience so much better, and that is really what I'm going to use this for. The 99.9% of the time is to set it up, walk down range with the target once, set it up, and then be able to not only check my shots and do all my corrections without having to walk back and forth, but also have some extra video content for you guys when I'm reviewing scopes, rifles, things like that. I do appreciate this getting sent out to the channel. I appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Remember to hit all notifications and leave a comment down below, especially if you've used Longshot. Tell me your experiences with it. And I just want to, at the end, say I apologize for this video. This was a very difficult, for a unit that doesn't actually do anything other than stand there and take pictures. This was a phenomenally hard video for me to make. And so if it's a little jarring compared to the videos that I normally make, my apologies. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.